Hi class, I wanted to do a little gesture drawing for you in a quick little video, kind of give you an idea of how I would use a pen to go about doing a gesture drawing. I'm using right now Uniball Insight. I just like the way the ink flows. I also use Precise V, these are good. And this is a V7, so it's a little bit of a thicker line than the Uniball line. A little more precise. It's actually, so I just want to draw for you a little bit, show you how I would go about a gesture drawing. And the composition I've decided to work on is the one I posted as an image in the PowerPoint. So that'll give you a little bit of idea of what I'm attempting to do. One of the things that I try to do when I do a gesture drawing is very lightly map it before anything else. Try to get a sense of where parts are. You know, I'm working on the skeleton right now, so I'm trying to find, you know, key points in the skeleton. And I have to be careful of the scale. So that's why I've kind of marked things off a little bit. I also want to make sure I stay on the page for you guys. I don't get too big. I tend to draw a little bit bigger than what I see. So I'm going to draw for a little bit, give you a sense of how I would go about doing some of the complex forms that you find in a skeleton. I don't think about things like, I'm doing the rib cage right now. Center it up. Try to figure out, is it further to this side or this side? It turns out it's further to this side. It's turned a little bit. Once I have that identified, I know that most of the drawing, spine's going to be on, actually, since the center of the front is here, the spine is going to be located over there. So front that way, spine that way. And you can see a little bit through it too. That's the other thing that's kind of interesting about it. And it's going to connect to the skull, which I'm just going to block in. Hopefully I can get that on. If I don't quite fit, I apologize. I'll take a picture of it so you can see. So that's that. Where the pelvis is, I'm going to start looking for, I start judging spaces. There's a big bunch of flowers, which was a hydrangea. It's here. I'm going to move the stem. I'm not going to worry about it. I am going to think about where it's being lit though. And when I make any types of hatching or cross hatching, I'm always thinking about the direction that my line travels across a form. And that's a, you know, a flower that's kind of like a thimble shaped. It actually goes a little bit up and over. Arm is here. Space to the rib cage here. Space to the rib cage there. Drop the arm down a little bit. Now, since this is backlit, I know I can draw over the top of a lot of this and change it as I go. But the idea of gesture is to let your lines flow. Keep them light till you're sure. And once you're sure, hit it with a stroke. Sometimes I just like to measure. since the scene is backlit, all of this is going to be in some form of shadow. I've actually turned the lights off in my studio. Hand, top of the hand, wrist, bottom of the hand here. Femur. It's actually on a bookcase. That's the top of the bookcase. Even though I can't see it in most of the places I can't see it, I still want to identify it so I have an idea of where it ends. It's going to be consistent. You need that to tell the story of how this drawing sets up. By having the end of the bookcase, you'll know where to place things. I can think around things a little bit. Like where there's a corner and then there's another corner in a back box that I have on top of the bookcase. By ending it here, that says there's a little bit of space back to there. So it's not quite pushed up all the way to the back. There's actually room behind the object. The skeleton sits on a circular stand, but the legs protrude beyond the end of the stand. The feet, I should say. There's a pole that holds it up. It's a cluster right here of scissors. Just treat them almost like the flowers. Just think about the general shape. And then look for openings. You might find a couple openings that you want to accentuate, where there's actually light from the background coming through. So that is how I would go about starting a gesture drawing. Measuring, finding your high points, your low points, finding intersections, placing things inside spaces, being aware of balance, or balance, or even balance. So that's a nice little start.